What is up, everybody? Welcome to the fall recap for my One Day at a Time series at Stardew Valley. So, without further ado, let's get right into the season, starting off with day 1. Obviously, it's just your average day to start off a new season. Had to clean the farm up a little bit, bought some seeds from Pierre, and decided to plant them, I guess, since, that's typically what you do when you buy seeds. It genuinely took all day long to till all the ground, water the ground, and then finally plant those seeds. But we hit it right before 2 a.m., so that's what you love to see. On the second day, I was introduced to the Special Orders board, where I can now complete harder missions for better rewards. Not to mention those sweet, sweet prize tickets. Afterwards, I made sure to deliver Pam her pale ale to feed her alcohol addiction, but mostly for the money that she gave me after that. Then I went to catch the legendary anglerfish from the lake by the waterfall. And finally, I went to the sauna and fished for the rest of the day. On day 3, I went around not only my farm, but the secret woods as well to grab all of the stumps to get hardwood for Robin's special order. After doing all of that, I went to Clint's place to not only crack open some geodes, but to also upgrade my watering can to gold and get that process started. Then for the rest of the day, I went mining to get a whole bunch of stuff from the mines and had a very good time down there, getting all sorts of stuff for my needs and all that kind of stuff. On day 4, I woke up to a rainy day, so I decided to complete the fish tank bundle since the rest of the fish I needed were in the rain. So I started off in the mountains to fish for a few walleye that were required for the bundle. However, I only got one of them after a while, so I went to the ocean to quickly fish out an eel before I missed the window to get one. After snagging the eel out of its watery home, I went back to the mountains to collect the other walleye I needed. After I finally got that walleye I was looking for, I went to the community center and completed the bundle, ending my day on a very high note. While I slept on night 4, the Junimos destroyed the shiny rock on the side of the mountain, so early in the morning on day 5, I went to check out the damage. Willie actually met me there and gave me a pan to collect resources from the water that I can see in little shiny sparkly spots, and over time we can also upgrade this pan to get better finds over time. I also completed Robin's special order and unlocked a new bed type that I can use for my house, and share with my wife. For the rest of the day after that, I went gold mining and found a ton of it. By the end of the time I was in the mines, I got over 50 gold. After waking up on the morning of day 6, I received a letter from Demetrius containing an item required for a bundle. So obviously I turned that in. But after that, I went to Clint to both collect my watering can and also to upgrade my pickaxe to gold. Afterwards, I fished all day long into the late hours of the night at the ocean to continue building my savings. Overall, it was a really productive day. To cap off the first week of fall, I returned to the waters and fished for the entire day. This time, instead of the ocean, I went to fish in the mountains with an extra stipulation to catch 5 largemouth bass, which, at the end of the day, I was able to complete. At the end of the day, I was able to bring in a total of 12,000 G both through fishing and the resources we got from mining yesterday, one step closer to finishing the vault bundle. When I woke up on day 8, I decided to take a break from fishing and return to the mines, especially considering my gold pickaxe was now complete. So I went to Clint's place to collect my newfound shiny object. Right after getting my pickaxe, I went to the community center to complete the vault bundle, unlocking the desert at the end of the day. Feeling accomplished, I went to the mines to hunt for gold for the rest of the day to keep saving up to upgrade the rest of my tools to gold. When I woke up on the morning of day 9, the Junimos had repaired the bus to go to the desert. So, on this day, I plan to go to the desert and see what resources it has for me. Before going to the desert, I stopped by the sauna to refill my energy since apparently I didn't sleep very well. But when I made it to the desert, I found a store and met Sandy and saw all the kinds of goods that she can sell to me in the future. I also stopped by this weird-looking structure with my prismatic shard in hand, only for it to morph into the Galaxy Sword, a super powerful blade which will be of great use for me. Then for the rest of the day, I'd explored the skull caverns and made it fairly deep on my first go. I woke up on day 10 determined to catch all the fish out of the oasis in the desert. Mostly for discovering the fish, but of course, for profit as well. After quickly freeing the fish from their watery prison and placing them neatly into my unnaturally deep pockets, I went into the skull caverns. I stayed in the skull mines for the rest of the day and made it down 35 levels before having to go home before I collapsed from exhaustion. On the 11th day of fall, I wanted to focus completely on my farm and had a plan to do so. Using some acorns I'd collected from some oak trees over the past few seasons, I planted them in a line between my 2 crops for them to grow over time. I also used tree fertilizer to make them grow faster. Alongside of that, I also crafted some tappers to put on these trees as soon as they were fully grown for bigger plans later on. I then visited Robin to construct a shed for those bigger plans, and then for the rest of the day, I fished at the ocean for profit. Today, I finally began to fix a glaring problem with my farm, and that was my storage. Before starting with the storage, I went to Clint's place to upgrade my pickaxe to iridium, making it my first top-of-the-line item outside of the fishing rod, you know, the one I had to actually make with iridium. With all of my chests being disgustingly unorganized, I wanted to make it easier for myself and fix them and organize them to eventually move them into their own shed later on. After finishing my storage, I fished for a little while in the ocean and ended the day with some Journey of the Prairie King. On the 13th day of fall, all of my cranberries were done, so I was able to harvest them. Then I decided to chop down some trees just for a little bit of extra wood over time. And today, Leah gifted me a star drop because I've been such a loving spouse to her, obviously, just by giving her all those salads and coffees. Then I began construction on my storage shed so I can finally move all my stuff in there. And then for the rest of the day, I just did fishing. Day 14 was packed and full of a whole bunch of stuff, so bear with me as I lightning through all of this. So I was able to harvest and replace my pumpkins, delivered Amaranth to Marnie for her quest, collected Lewis's shorts because I was finally able to do so with Marnie's friendship levels, upgrade my coop with Robin's help, collect my iridium pickaxe from Clint, played some Journey of the Prairie King with Abigail, and for the rest of the day, I went mining. Whew, that was a lot, wasn't it? Day 15 was nothing but the Skull Caverns all day long. I literally just went to the Skull Caverns and mined throughout the entire day. Not much here other than 26 iridium that I ended up with, so hey, pretty good I guess, you know, for a Skull Caverns only kind of day. Day 16 was the day of the fall fair, but before doing so, I had to stop by my buddy Krobus's place and bought a star drop from him. Then I got to set up my Grange display and crushed the competition. Suck it, Pierre, I'm better than you. But then I was also able to get my second star drop from all the prizes that I was able to collect, mostly through gambling, but hey, that's what you gotta do. And finally, I completed the rest of the remaining greenhouse bundles. Yes! On day 17, I focused a lot on my farm. So I only really did 2 things here, but they're very important nonetheless. I built a storage shed so I can finally begin to move all of my stuff into that eventually. And I also planned out the sprinklers for the greenhouse, since there's obviously a good layout for it, and I wanted to make sure I maximize everything for it to make as much money as possible. Just like on day 13, on day 18, my cranberries were done, so I was able to harvest those again. Then I tilled some soil, bought some seeds, and planted everything I needed to get the greenhouse ready with all the iridium sprinklers to boot. Then for the rest of the day, I just chopped down trees, just to get my wood up and have some extra stuff later on for projects. Day 19 saw the completion of my storage shed, so over time I was able to move all of my stuff from all of the chests outside into the storage shed by taking them all out, breaking the chest, putting it in, and doing that multiple times until it was done. Then for the rest of the day, I just did a lot of fishing. That's pretty much all there was for day 19, so moving on to day 20. On the 20th day of fall, my true love gave to me fish, and a lot of it. I fished pretty much for the entire day, but it was both for profit and also to complete Linus's special request for fishing trash out of the water. I wasn't able to complete his quest in one day because apparently trash is super hard to find in the ocean when you're actually looking for it. When I was leaving to get to work on day 21, I was visited by Evelyn, who gave us the plant pot recipe, so now I can start planting those at some point. Maybe I'll come up with a shed or something. I was also able to complete Linus's special request because I was able to fish some trash out finally, and for the rest of the day, I played and completed Journey of the Prairie King. Day 22 was another Skull Caverns day, but I prepared for a bit this time, then ventured out to the caverns for the rest of the day. I made it down 48 levels before returning back home, and unfortunately passing out right outside of my bed. Yeah, not a pretty sight, but whatever. At least I don't get fined for passing out of my own home. On day 23, another batch of cranberries were done, so I was able to harvest those and get my money up. And of course, Robin wasn't home for me to upgrade my shed. Cool. After chopping down trees for the majority of the day, I waited by Robin's counter and got her to upgrade my shed right before I went to bed. Day 24 was 2 but very important things. The first thing I was able to do was plant even more trees to add on to my tree garden for more oak resin, making the process of getting a keg shed a lot quicker. Alongside of that, I fished for the remainder of the day to complete Demetrius's quest, which I was able to do. So, common me W? I think so. On the morning of day 25, my first batch of cranberries were complete in the greenhouse, so I was able to harvest those and get even more money. I also changed the look of my deluxe shed to match the theme of the farm, and man, I cooked with that. Just look at that. Whew, chef's kiss to that. I ended up going to the Skull Caverns for what should have been the rest of the day, if I didn't get knocked out by a serpent. So I went to bed sad that day. Kinda stunk. Day 26, I was focused on getting ready for winter, so the first thing I did was I plotted out the spot on my farm where I wanted to build a barn for some cows. Mostly for their milk so I can complete the quests in the community center, but I also like having cows on my farm since they're cool and awesome. Then I bought a ton of hay in preparation for the winter because you can't really get hay from grass and it's just cheaper to get it from Marnie at that time anyway. And finally, I mined for the remainder of the day. Pretty good stuff, honestly. On the penultimate day of fall, I felt a dark presence here as it was the Spirits Eve festival. But that takes place in the evening, so until then I have some time to kill. So, I started off by making a path to what will lead to the barn that I plan to build very soon, hopefully on the 28th if that coop finishes. After that I went mining for most of the day and collected over 60 iron. After completing that mining trip, I went back to Pelican Town to enjoy the Spirits Eve festival by chatting it up with all the people there, completing a maze, and collecting a golden pumpkin. Pretty cool. Anyway, let's finish off this season. On the final day of the season, I wanted to tie a few loose ends up before the winter fully swept through the valley. So first of all, I went to Marnie's place to adopt some new rabbits to add to my deluxe coop to hopefully collect some feet for them for a bundle. For just a bundle, guys. Just the bundle. Come on now. I also stopped by Robin's place to begin construction on a barn for future cows to enjoy. And finally in this season, I didn't forget to visit the playground at noon to collect that freaking Junimo plush. So you're welcome, Canada. Probably. For the rest of the day after that, I chopped down some trees to recover my wood pile from all the wood that Robin took from me with all the construction of the coop and barn and all that, but whatever. Before the day ended, I also checked my coop to say hi to my bunnies since I almost forgot, and my dinosaur hatched. So, I decided to give my reptilian friend the name of Trogdor. And while I slept, I had heard that there was a massive windstorm overnight, so I already have something prepared to me to begin next season. Anyway, that's it for this recap. Thank you guys so much for enjoying the season so far, and honestly, I'm very excited for what winter will bring to us going forward. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you then. Bye!